Legends of Korra Season 4, Episode 4, The Calling. It's a great episode. The title actually sounds like a horror movie to me, like The Calling or something like that. But I love this episode. It was a really great one that focused on the Airbender kids. It was really cool. We got to see Milo, Jinora, and Iki really fight and then for most of the episode, and then they finally bonded by the end. But it was really cool. I love this one. We got to see them do their own thing. Milo had his little moments where it was like he's trying to be more grown up than he really is. Like, we're gonna live off the land. He actually threw their food away, and then of course got sick because he got a bunch of wild berries. And he throws their food away. He kind of has a crush on the one girl who gives him the flower and stuff. And it was just really funny. Like, I enjoyed his little moments. Iki had her own little moments. I loved when she was captured because that was really funny to me, especially after she first started to cry and the guys sort of walked off by themselves and they were talking, and she was in the background and she just pulls her hand out of the ropes and like wipes the tear away and then puts her hand back in. I thought that looked really funny. And when they gave her the map, she's just like, all right, so it's like right here is where we were looking at, and she's just like outside of the ropes, and they didn't even notice it. They were just helping her out at that point. So I love the moments that she had, and both of them were kind of getting on Janora's nerves. Like, she's just trying to use her spirit energy to sort of just find Korra wherever she might be, and it's just not working. Like, every step of the way, she's just getting distracted. So they all have issues with each other, and because they're actually little kids, they fight a million times more than Tenzin and his siblings do, which is pretty much every time they're on screen together, they end up fighting as well. But they've grown up, so they've had decades of doing that, so they don't do it nearly as much because they've gotten past that point. But we get to see the next generation of siblings, and they pretty much fight just all the time. So I definitely enjoyed that. They went back to the dock where Korra went to the guy who has the avatar picture, so we got to see the one of Aang like this. Like, I love seeing that picture. It's really funny. But that was really cool. And we just got to see them fly around, say silly stuff, and just generally be funny in this episode. I thought it was really, really good. And then just the other side of the story was all Toph and Korra, and that was perfect. I think it was the perfect blend of stories for this episode, because one side completely focused on characters who I feel Janora, of course, she's gotten the most out of the kids because she got like this spirit stuff in the last season, and she is a full-fledged airbender. She has her tattoos and stuff, so she's had a lot more focus than Iki and Milo have. But it was great to see all of them together get a really, really huge focus in this episode. They were half of the entire episode, and that was perfect. It was getting to see them be airbenders. They didn't really fight anybody or anything. They didn't run into any trouble or anything like that, except for like having to fight off the vines towards the end of the episode, and that was really about it. And Milo did his little fart airbending thing on one of the vines, which I thought was pretty silly. He did, like, he jumped and spun and like just farted on it. But other than that, it was just them being siblings and arguing with each other while trying to find Korra. And Korra was dealing with Toph, who was kind of helping her, but at the same time wasn't, and she was just leading her to places in the swamp that would help her realize what her main issue was, and it was that she carries around so much of the past that she can't look forward in the future. So I thought that was really cool, and by the end of this episode, she does overcome the issues that she's been having, and she's able to bend the metal out of her own body, which I thought was really cool. And it was only a little. I thought it would be a whole lot, but it was like just a little bit, and it just, like, apparently it only takes a little, like that little bit mixed with the fact that she's just been carrying around all this weight mentally, just mentally and physically combined, it was too much for her. So she was able to overcome both aspects at the same time by calming herself and getting rid of all that mental anguish. It allowed her to get rid of the physical anguish with the rest of the liquid poison in her body. So it was really cool. She got rid of both things through one sort of calming act, and it was just really well done. And the kids successfully did their mission. They got Korra, and it ends with Toph being Toph, and she's like, finally some peace and quiet. But overall, I thought this was an amazing episode. I actually think it was my favorite just because it seemed to just flow so well together. Like I said, the main focus being three characters who together we really haven't seen too much. Like, we've had them really, I think, in season one more than anything. We got to see the kids together because it was still when they were all sort of in the same stage. Like, yeah, we're still just all little kids learning to be airbenders. And during season two is when Junora really stepped up and she kind of got like the spirit power and stuff. And then season three, she still had that, so she really used it way more. So, you know, this was really cool to actually see them because it seems like they're all more in the same stage once again, which we haven't had for the past two seasons. So it was really cool to have that. Toph being silly. Like, I think my favorite line was when she took Korra to the tree and Korra connected with the tree and she was able to see the kids and she was like, "Oh, I saw them. They're here in the swamp." And she was like, "Good. Hopefully they're here to take you home." I thought that was the funniest line. She just said it so plainly. It was like, "Good. I hope they're here to take you home." But I love that when she met the kids and Milo was like, cranky, blind, and old. You must be tough. She was just like, "Oh, I like this one." So I thought that was a good part too. But overall, this was a great episode. They didn't have really any action, but it doesn't have to. Like when they have episodes like this, it just shows how good the writing can be without really any action. Like I said, the most action, honestly, was when they got the vines off their sky bison pepper, and that was it. Other than that, I think Milo and Janora took out the two guys when they thought Iki was actually being kidnapped or was being held captive. That was it. Other than that, they didn't really have to do any sort of airbending. They did airbending to jump on top of the sky bison and jump off, and that was really it in the entire episode. There wasn't that much, but I still loved every part of it, and I'm really excited because Korra's gonna be back in the world. We're gonna get to see Korra actually interact with, well, maybe not all the characters, but a lot of the characters who she hasn't seen for years. So it's gonna be really good. I'm excited to see what the interaction is gonna be when she gets back to Republic City. Like she's gonna even see your father. Like I haven't seen you for 6 months. I don't know where the heck you've been. And she's gonna get to see Tenzin, and she's gonna get to see Mako, and unfortunately Prince Wu, and just her getting to have those interactions that she really hasn't had for such a long time. It'll be great to see her in fighting form, or at least almost fighting form. We still have to see how things go when she has her real first battle against Kuvira. But she's at least feeling a lot better, even if she can't physically take on Kuvira just yet. At least mentally, she won't just be weighed down by that, so she'll be able to just fight, and she'll just know, like, hey, it's not because I'm carrying too much of my past. It's just that this woman is insanely freaking powerful. I need to train a little bit. So we're going to get to see that fairly soon, I think. But I really love this episode. Of course, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about it, your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And now that Korra's going to be back in the world, what do you want to see? Like, who do you want to see her interact with the most? Because for me personally, I want to see what she thinks of Kuvira, because she's kind of been out of it pretty much since the end. So she hasn't really been involved in anything going on in the world. I'm sure she knows about it. It's not like she's just been off by herself like Toph has in the swamp. So I'm sure she knows a little bit about it, but I really want to see what she thinks about what Kuvira is doing. Like, how bad does she really think it is? Or does she even think it's bad? Does she think, like, hey, if it's uniting people, then it can't be that bad? Is she gonna, I want to see if she's gonna be like that in the beginning and then realize that Kuvira is almost a dictator when you kind of think about it. So that's what I really want to see, is just her reaction to all the, really to all the politics, I guess. That seems kind of boring when I say it out loud, but for Legend of Korra, it's fairly interesting. The politics are much more dramatic than in real life, so I think that's what I want to see the most. But what do you guys want to see? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.